Age Strong Boston. Its mission is to enhance the lives of Bostonians who are age 55 and older through programs, resources, and connections. Joining us now is Karine Querido, Deputy Commissioner of Boston's Age Strong Commission. Hi, Karine. How are you?
Thank you for having me.
So, why do older Boston residents need their own commission? And what need does the commission fill?
Sure. So we're the city department that's really dedicated to serving the population, the over 120,000 older adults that live in the city. We are part of the Human Services Cabinet, and with a staff of over 100, we really are committed to kind of connecting people with different aspects to make sure that they live dignified lives in the city.
So tell me more about some of the services that Age Strong Boston offers.
So as the Council on Aging, we connect people to resources and benefits. We have staff that are CAC and SHINE certified, which means that they can help people access their insurance. We can help people connect to SNAP, fuel assistance, and a whole sort of benefits programs that are available to them. We also help connect people with volunteer opportunities. We partner with AmeriCorps and we run two volunteer programs in partnership with AmeriCorps, and we also run a property tax work-off program where older adults in the city can volunteer with the city department.
Lots of stuff going on.
We do lots and lots of stuff.
Now, lots of the rising costs of everything, groceries, utilities, transportation can really cause a lot of financial strain for seniors on a fixed income. So you have a program for homeowners who have fallen behind on their property taxes. Tell us about that. What does that program entail?
So it's called the Property Tax Work-Off Program. So it's for residents, homeowners in the city who are over the age of 60. They can volunteer with the city department and work off up to $2,000 off their property tax annually. So that program, it's really excellent and really helps to serve the people who need relief in their
relief on their property taxes.
Their property taxes,
yeah.
Yes.
October marks the beginning of the annual Medicare open enrollment period. What's important for people to understand about this time, and do you have any general advice?
Yeah, so we have a team of people that are SHINE certified and can help people understand and assess their medical insurance as well as their drug care coverage. Between October 15th and December 7th is the annual open enrollment. We're actually going to be hosting 15 events throughout the city during that period, so people can go and see our team in their neighborhoods and get direct assistance with their Medicare, the health insurance coverage.
Yeah, that health insurance thing is very complicated.
Very complicated.
You know, you referenced this a bit earlier. One of the main topics of this month's Boston Seniority Magazine issue is about volunteering. So explain a little bit more about some of the opportunities that seniors are uniquely suited for.
Sure. So in partnership with AmeriCorps, we run two volunteer programs, the Senior Companion Program and the RSVP program. And through that, we can help connect older adults, volunteers with people in the community for one-on-one assistance, as well as connect them with organizations where they're kind of doing a whole sort of volunteer programs and through kind of partnership with community organizations.
Now, who knew there was an AmeriCorps for seniors? Everybody thinks of AmeriCorps in terms of youth.
No, for seniors as well. And we've run two of those programs in the city of Boston.
Okay, Election Day, right around the corner. We put some key dates on the screen here. Does your office have any way to help get out the vote and to make sure those get out the vote efforts are underway?
So our focus in this area is really around education and information, make sure people understand the different timelines that they have, but also the different options that they have in terms of voting, early voting, absentee ballot, also understanding what their polling locations are and so forth.
And when you think about the title of your department, Age Strong and the seniors of the city of Boston, talk about what words come to mind to describe the people that you're serving.
They're certainly strong, they're experienced, and they're really the people who have gotten the city to where we are today. So we're very happy to be a department that is now here and available to serve them.
You know, I know a lot of the, another area that you're spending a lot of focus on is treating seniors who have Alzheimer's. it seems that the incidence of Alzheimer's is increasing. Of course, people are living longer. Share with us, if you would, the efforts around that piece of it.
So we do have an age and dementia friendly units in our department that are really focused on that work, and some of it is really about connecting families and or providers with the resources around dementia. We also provide a lot of training we've trained a lot of city departments and community organizations about how to interact with people who have dementia and Alzheimer's.
Oh wow, a lot of stuff going on.
Lots.
A lot of great resources, one-stop shopping for elders and family members who need these services for their elder family members, right?
Yes, definitely.
Just give a call and see what there is to offer.
They certainly can call us anytime or reach us through 311 at any time.
Okay, Karine Carrillo, Deputy Commissioner of Age Strong, thank you for joining us. Now, if you're over the age of 50 or caring for an older adult in Boston, the City of Boston wants to hear about your important needs related to their aging in their citywide needs assessment. The survey can be taken online or printed, and we'll have the link to fill it out on our webpage at wcvb.com/cityline. And Hearth, an organization implementing prevention, placement, and housing programs in homelessness among the elderly, is having its annual gala on October 17th. Information about tickets can be found on our website. Thanks so much for watching, everybody. Be sure to follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and follow me on X at Karen Holmes Ward. And you can watch the show on our very local app. It's free to download on your phone, tablet, or smart TV.